On the first morning of December in 1948, a man was found dead on an Adelaide beach. He was well-dressed and at peace, as if he had simply sat down to watch the sea. But he carried no name, no wallet, and no clue to who he was. The labels had been cut from his clothes. Hello and welcome to Vanished Hours. I'm Isla Hart. Tonight, the story of the Somerton Man, an unidentified body, a scrap of Persian poetry, and a code that has resisted everyone who has ever tried to read it. Somerton was a calm seaside suburb just south of Adelaide. On the evening of 30 November, passers-by noticed a man resting against the sea wall. They assumed he was asleep or perhaps unwell and left him to the quiet of the night. By the next morning, he had not moved. When help finally reached him, he was dead. There were no obvious wounds and no sign of a struggle, only a still, ordinary-looking man whom nobody could name. His pockets held the small debris of an ordinary day: cigarettes, chewing gum, a comb, a used train ticket, and an unused bus ticket. What they did not hold was anything that could identify him. No documents, no letters, no name. Then investigators noticed something deliberate. The maker's labels had been removed from his clothing carefully, as if someone wanted to make him impossible to trace. It is hard to imagine a clearer signal that this man was not meant to be identified. A suitcase, believed to be his, was later recovered from the railway station's left luggage office. It too had labels stripped from many of the garments. Investigators were left with a wardrobe and not a single name to attach to it. A postmortem deepened the mystery rather than solving it. The man appeared healthy, yet his organs showed signs that pointed toward poisoning. But no poison could be identified with certainty. To this day, the cause of death has never been firmly established. Poisoning was suspected, but it was never proven. Months passed before the strangest clue surfaced. Sewn into a hidden fob pocket, a small pocket within a pocket, was a tightly rolled scrap of paper. On it were printed just two words: Tamám, Shud. The phrase is Persian. It means, roughly, ended or finished, and it comes from the closing page of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a famous collection of medieval Persian poetry about mortality and the fleeting nature of life. The scrap had been torn from the very last page of a copy of that book. Police now had a haunting clue and a question. Where was the book it had been torn from? They made the search public. And, remarkably, a man came forward to say a copy had been left in his unlocked car around the time the body was found. The book matched. The torn edge of its last page fitted the little scrap exactly. But the book carried two more puzzles of its own, and these are the ones that would keep people awake for decades. Pressed faintly into the back of the book were lines of letters, capital letters in rows, looking for all the world like a code. Generations of police, wartime codebreakers, and amateur cryptographers have studied them. The lettering has never been definitively solved, and some researchers now doubt it is a cipher at all. There was also a phone number written inside. It led investigators to a local nurse who lived nearby, but no firm, public connection between her and the dead man was ever confirmed. The thread glittered, and then it slipped away. With its erased labels, its unbroken code, and its timing at the dawn of the Cold War, the case became a magnet for one theory above all: that the Somerton Man was a spy. It is an irresistible idea, but it is only a theory. No evidence has ever proven that he was an intelligence agent. For more than half a century, the man had no name. Then, from around 2018, a researcher at the University of Adelaide, Derek Abbott, pressed for the body to be exhumed so that modern DNA techniques could be brought to bear. In time, that exhumation was carried out. In 2022, working with a genealogist, Abbott reported a result. Tracing DNA through a vast family tree, he concluded that the Somerton Man was most likely a Melbourne-born electrical engineer and instrument maker named Carl Webb, sometimes called Charles. But it is worth being careful here. That identification was researcher-led, and at the time it had not been formally confirmed by South Australian authorities. And even if the name is right, it answers only the smallest part of the riddle. Why the labels were removed, what the code meant, and exactly how and why he died, those remain unknown. A name, perhaps, after 70 years. And yet the beach keeps its secrets. A man sat down by the sea with 2 words of borrowed poetry hidden against his chest, and left behind a puzzle the world still cannot finish. Tamám Shud ended, finished. It was the one statement he left us, and it turned out to be the least true thing about him. Because his story did not end on that beach. It simply waited. Thank you for spending this time with me. History never really leaves us, it just waits to be remembered. I'm Isla Hart, and I'll see you in the next one.